Christmas movies have a reputation of being cheesy. In the case of Santa Claus Conquers the Martians, a game for Lindbergh. Welcome to my channel, KC, that's me, Carrie Chuck the Sludge Storyteller, here to talk about the wonderful world of storytelling. It's the holiday season, and after stepping away from the public domain movies for a bit, I thought I'd get back to that and review this. So Santa Claus Conquers the Martians came out in 1964. Its US copyright was never renewed, and thus here it is in public domain, though Studio Canal maintains the rights outside of the US and holds ancillary rights inside the US, which according to Kernochin for Law, Media, and Arts, ancillary rights are supplementary or subordinate rights arising from primary right. This right exists depending upon or reasonably linked to a main right or claim. Ancillary rights in relation to entertainment law are contractual agreements in which a percentage of the profits are received and derived from the sale of action figures, posters, books, etc. relating to a film or motion picture. And since I'm not a lawyer, I will not elaborate any further than that. Sometime after falling into public domain, Mystery Science Theater 3000 picked it up, gave it their usual roasting, and from there it became a cult classic. Now, as emphasized over the years, I'm a sucker for Christmas movies with a wide spectrum of cheesiness that I can accept. Let's see how this movie fares along those lines. The movie opens with a theme song. Love it or hate it, you'll never forget it. Then the story starts with the kind of news footage I would love to have jumped on as a kid, with a TV reporter on location at the North Pole to meet with Santa.
Oh, hello, son. Oh, hello, boys and girls. Hey, with my reindeer, Prancer and Dancer and Thunder and Blitzen and Vixen and Nixon.
Now, if we have to enjoy a Santa who can't keep his own reindeer's name straight, it's going to have to be so bad it's good. And one interesting thing to note is that this movie is the first ever to portray Mrs. Claus, beating out Rankin Bass, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, by just less than a month that year. Anyway, among the viewers of this newscast, Martian children. Of course, they're intrigued by what they see. Now, it's a general sci-fi story rule that alien technology is supposed to be more advanced than Earth's. The one piece of Martian tech I am jealous of here is sleep spray, but I'll never get the boring, ever speculative future tech concept of whole meals made into pills. But those are served by their mother, Momar. Their father, Kimar, completely is bewildered over his kids being enamored by this earthly gift giver. But what to do? Kimar calls the Martian Council that decides it's time to seek advice from the Martian sage, Cho-Chem. From him, we apparently learn sooner or later Martians outgrow the need for helmets with a hose and antenna. Cho-Chem's advice is unexpected. Mars needs a Santa, and while he organizes the plot to kidnap Santa, Kimar has to deal with the big wet blanket in the crew, Voldar. And the filmmakers felt that they needed a Martian that is the opposite of Voldar, and Kimar wasn't opposite enough, so bring in Dropo. They take a rocket ship to Earth, and hovering for a while with surveillance purposes, Voldar gets a good look at New York City.
So that's what the Earth people call a city, eh? How primitive.
But don't expect anything more oppressive seen on Mars sets. We get to enjoy some comedy of confusion as the Martian surveillance finds a Santa on street corners all over New York. The whole search is stalled by the Salvation Army. Break now into Earth's military response armed with stock footage. Granted, part of the stock footage strikes a chord with me as an early teenager,
I did all kinds of reading up on fighter jets, and the F-102 Delta Dagger was up there among favorites. But an interplanetary air battle would burst the film's budget and veer too far from the core plot, so that's only briefly touched upon. The story then brings us to a brother and sister in the outdoors, Billy and Betty Foster, and their conversation brings in an interesting coincidence.
Billy, what does a Martian look like? I don't know. Nobody's ever seen one.
Now, let's hear that again.
Billy, what does a Martian look like?
Again.
Billy, what does a Martian look like?
And yet...
I see a Martian. Boy, you're imagining.
So they learn from these kids that there's only one true Santa Claus, and he lives in the North Pole. And ignorant of their inability to contact Santa other than by snail mail, they capture them so they can't warn him of the kidnapping plot. They land their spacecraft at the North Pole, and while the Martians go looking for Santa, the kids run away only to run into a useless plot point of getting chased by an unconvincing polar bear. Only for them to unleash torque on them, and stupid kids don't know well enough to keep running. Torque's next destination is Santa's workshop. And Torque is toy-like enough that Santa instantaneously tames him, forcing the Martians to storm the workshop and use their freeze gun on everyone but Santa and taking him captive. On to Mars. Bring on more stock footage of a would-be rescue rocket launched later on toward Mars. We never see anything more of it, but for all we know, it went to Jupiter. On the Martian rocket, Santa manages to charm some of the Martians.
How's our captain?
He's having the time of his life. He's such a funny little man. Why, I've only been with him for 5 minutes, and he has me laughing just like an earthling. What's soft and round, and you put it on a stick, and you toast it in a fire, and it's green?
I don't know, what?
A marshmallow!
All this irks Voldar. He sees Santa as a toxic threat to the minds of Martian children and wants him destroyed. And it doesn't bother him if Billy and Betty also die with him, and maliciously throws the switch that opens up the airlock chamber that the three are inside of to send them into the zero vacuum of space. But clever Santa knows how to use his chimney entrance skills to enter a side portal to Voldar's shock. Amid all the fundamental clash between Kimar and Voldar becomes this movie's best attempt at a fight scene. The fight breaks up when Santa and the kids arrive and show that they're very much alive.
Well, when Voldar accidentally left...
Voldar escapes the rocket. Once on Mars, the Earthlings are welcomed warmly. But Santa's joy over that is dampened by the news that the Martian design is that he remain there permanently, and he's put to work in a Martian-built toy factory that is completely automated. Drapo is so taken in by Santa that he wants to play the part with the spare suit that Momar made for him.
Why, you have to fatten up first.
So,
Chocolate cake.
and...
Oh! Now!
But Voldar has been in exile all this time, and when Santa Drapo comes around, and somehow the green skin and helmet don't tip them off. They're satisfied that they are holding Santa hostage, with a threat of disintegration. Voldar makes a mandate.
We are holding Santa Claus a hostage. One false move, and your little ho-ho-ho man will be destroyed.
But Kimar shows how Santa is safe and imprisons Voldar and his minion. Santa Drapo manages to escape, but we get a second fight scene, even less convincing. Voldar makes a final threat against Santa, but Billy, Betty, and the Martian children unleash toys on him. As easily predicted, Drapo becomes Santa from Mars, and Santa Claus, Billy, and Betty get to go home. But of course, they're actually making it back home is assumed, and we get that extra padding with a sing-along of the theme song. final verdict? I say it's indeed so bad it's good. Mind you, I've seen several critics think otherwise, so what I make of this is if you're into cheesy Christmas movies and can appreciate a less than 90-minute movie with all kinds of nonsense to laugh at, especially in a group watch, you should enjoy it. The main actors seem to know how badly the script was written and give it their all to give it charm to its low quality.
That's my take on Santa Claus Conquers the Martians. So, thank you for watching. Agree, disagree, or something I left out. Please let me know in the comment section. I'll always say it. Let's all look for civility amid all the bad news out there about social and political strife. Let's not hate. Let's find friends wherever we go and value each other. But everyone be safe and God bless.